Welcome, crypto fam, to the #1 daily Bitcoin pod. We're pumping back in the green, about to recapture 100 G's. Let's go. In today's show, I'll be breaking down the latest Bitcoin technical analysis, as we do each and every day. Also, breaking news, of course, Kenya's National Fire Brigades Association added Bitcoin to their balance sheet. It's happening in Africa. Please stand up. We'll also be discussing Marathon Holdings buys 1.1 billion more Bitty, hitting industry first 50 exahashes per second, as well as strategic Bitcoin reserve proposed for Alabama State. Let's go, Alabama. Let's get it. We'll also be discussing more breaking news. India's Bitcoin treasury era begins with a bold corporate pioneer. Do you notice the game theory? The global hash wars in full effect. We'll also be discussing El Salvador discovers $3 trillion worth of gold. Will it all go into Bitcoin? We'll be discussing this. We'll also be discussing a whopping prediction of 400 million per Bitty. According to Mark Moss, he just made this prediction at the Abu Dhabi event. I'll be breaking this down for you. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. And today is pod episode number 1855. I'm your host, JV. It's December 11, 2024. Bitcoin's up pumping, ripping like the new Scottie Pippen. Up 2,000 on the day. We're about to recapture 100 G's. Current price discovery is at 104. Let's see if we can break through to the other side. Hopefully so here today. And checking out Coin 360 here. We'll do a little market watch. All the cryptos back in the green. This is what I love to see after everything was virtually in the red yesterday. Bitcoin's up, Ether up, XRP up, everything's up. It's going up forever, Laura. And checking out coinmarketcap.com. Let's get a refresh. The latest coin market cap, 3.56 trillion total crypto market cap. The Bitcoin market cap is 1.974 trillion. We got 269 billion of volume past 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance back on the rise at 55.4%. The broskies are going wild. Ether back on the decline at 12.8%. The Vitalik broskies, they're not having such a great time today. Checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. We got BGB, XDC, and Ray leading the pack. Which alts, if any, broskies, are you bullish on for the bull? Holla. And checking out the crypto bubbles. Survey says majority of the market in the green. I dig it. Zooming out on the monthly, massive gainers across the board. HBAR 452%, XLM almost 300%, CRV 300%, virtual over 400%, XRP over 300%. Massive gainers across the boards. And checking out the Crypto Greed and Fear Index. Today we're back down to greed, 1 point shy of extreme greed. Yesterday was a 78, last week a 78, and last month a 76. Let's break down a little technical analysis, aka astrology for the broskies. You should be able to see the screen. Bitcoin hits a level the bulls must control for the new 100,000 Bitcoin price push. Here's a 1 hour chart. And as I mentioned, we just surpassed 100,000 during the time of the live stream. Trading views showed Bitcoin day intraday highs preceding the Wall Street Open. Bitcoin faced fresh selling pressure the day prior, compounded by the news of Microsoft declining to adopt the form of a corporate Bitcoin treasury. Sucks for Microsoft, but keep in mind the second shareholder, largest that is BlackRock, who already has over 500,000 Bitcoin. Quoting some of the analysts here, in 5 years, they'll understand everyone buys Bitcoin at the price they deserve. Well said. Bitcoin doesn't wait. It simply transfers wealth to those who can see. Bitcoin ultimately did not stay suppressed for long. As you can tell, we're pumping right freaking now. Skew Analytics says, so this means the EQ is around 97, which is constructive in terms that buyers need to rein control above 98 to push 100,000 in supply. Sellers need to rein control below 96 to attempt to break below the demand. Now, trader, analyst, and entrepreneur Macau Van Day Pop drew comparisons to the price action of Bitty from the same time a year ago. Deja vu, fellas. Quoting him here, Bitcoin is literally mimicking the price action from the last December. I'm not sure whether we'll get such a deep correction, but I do know that it is time for the alts to shine again. Macro volatility was expected later today with the release of the CPI print. The first of the 3 macro data releases for the week was anticipated to show sticky inflationary trends. How about the sticky green, fellas? Happy 420, by the way. At some point soon there will soon be a spook around the higher price and costs. In breaking news, Kenya's National Fire Brigade Association adds the Bitcoin to the balance sheet. It's happening. Africa, please stand up. And checking out the live charts, broskies, as we're breaking 100 G's in real time here. Survey says, wow, bullish. This is the 1 hour chart. This is live and in the flesh. Look at that. Those green candles are forming. Let's get it like a young George Foreman. We're targeted at 1024. According to the 1 hour chart, we'll zoom out and get some different looks here. Again, this is live chart action. Here we have it. The 4 hour chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive greens. I'm digging it. We also have a bull target, a bullish pennant that is, sitting at 108. Send it. It's time. And zooming out from the 4 hour, let's go to the 1 day, shall we? And as you can see, big green candle forming on the daily already as we recapture 100 G's. Zooming out from the daily, we'll go to the weekly. And we recently had the highest weekly close of all time on Sunday. And look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pretty much 6 green consecutives candles, Godzilla style. Still got 124,000 in play. I've been calling that all year. I still think we're very likely to hit this target or around that mark by the end of the year. We still got 3 weeks of pumpage. What are your thoughts? And zooming out from the weekly, let's scope out the monthly, shall we, broskies? The monthly shows a huge bullish Moonvember close, and we're forming a green bull close here for December bull. Let's not get it twisted. It is Q4, the most bullish time of the season. 999. I got 99 problems. Bitty ain't one. So hit me. So there you have it, ladies and gents. Next headline, we're going to discuss Marathon's $1.1 billion purchase. Mining heavyweight Mara Holdings bought 11,774 Bitcoin. Divine numbers here because 11 is a divine number. And anytime you see a 7 and a 4, it's an 11. So that's like an 11 omen. Plus, they purchased 1.1 billion. Remove the decimal. That's an 11. You can't make this ish up. Happy days, family. While the hash rate exceeded 50 exahashes per second, an industry first, Marathon purchased the latest haul after the zero coupon convertible note offering late last month, snapping up 11,774 bitties at an average purchase price of 96 G's. And as of December 9th, Marathon holds 40,435 Bitcoin worth $3.92 billion at a current price of around 97 G's. Marathon has made a 12.3% Bitcoin yield in the fourth quarter and 47% this year, according to the December 9th filing with the US SEC. It uses Bitcoin yield as a key performance indicator to measure the percentage change between its Bitcoin holdings and its assumed fully diluted shares outstanding. They are the largest holder as far as miners are concerned. So there you can see the bitty, 40,435. Not too shabby, and they're only going to continue to stack. In July, Mara shifted to a new treasury policy to retain all Bitcoin it mines and adopt a range of capital market instruments to bolster its Bitcoin reserves, similar to MicroStrategy's Bitcoin playbook. Marathon also reported doubling its energized hash rate in 2024 to reach its end-of-the-year target of 50 exahashes per second, making it the first public Bitcoin miner to cross the milestone. Mission accomplished, but why stop here? Precisely. Stay tuned as we have more miners on the shelf, and we'll just keep on adding using our existing capacity. Mara's hash rate was 36.9% at the end of the third quarter, meaning it added at least 13.1%. Or 13.1, exahashes per second since then. Mara shares closed down 4% to $22 December 10th and has only seen a slight gain over the past few hours, but maybe now it's back in the green that the market is pumping. Mara stock down 0.5% this year after it was one of the industry's best performers last year, rising 586% the previous year. So there you go, yo. All eyes on 104 as we continue to pump it up. Next story of the day, we'll continue with the bullishness. Alabama. Come on now, little country grammar in Alabama. I'm digging this adoption here, yo. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve proposed by Alabama State Auditor. That's right. Alabama State Auditor Andrew Sorrell has publicly proposed the establishment of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Sorrell's call comes amid the growing wave of interest in the strategic Bitcoin reserve amongst both federal and state level policymakers, as well as the sharp rise of the Bitcoin price following the election of President Trump, who campaigned on the pro-Bitcoin policies. We're calling it the Trump pump. Speaking on the news, Sorrell emphasized he views as the inevitability of the Bitcoin and crypto long-term success. The debate over whether crypto will succeed has ended. He further underscored the value of digital assets and broadening state portfolios. And as of now, crypto is only a $3 trillion asset that the state has zero exposure to. It is almost the most rapidly growing asset with the greatest potential for price appreciation. Facts on facts, on facts, on facts, on facts. And according to Sorrell, establishing the strategic Bitcoin reserve would serve three primary goals. Number one, portfolio diversification. Number two, crypto-friendly positioning. And number three, protection against currency-related risk. What happens if the dollar ceases to be the reserve currency of the world? Sorrell asks. What happens if inflation runs 8% again? And we all know it's higher than 8%, don't we, broskies? Bitcoin's value is unaffected by what happens to the U.S. dollar. That's right. It's the perfect hedge. It would strengthen our state's balance sheet. You damn straight it would. And could be used as collateral for future debt issuance. There isn't a better collateral out there. In fact, I dare say it's pristine collateral, ladies and gents. Sorrell's initiative closely follows national and federal developments. President Trump's stated intention to create a national Bitcoin stockpile has become more tangible following a 50% surge of the Bitcoin price since Election Day. Trump has met with several top crypto execs and has pledged to keep the potential to add the approximately 207,000 Bitcoin seized from the U.S. government over the years, a holding that now represents 1% of the global Bitcoin supply. And in the U.S. Senate, Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis introduced the Bitcoin Act. That's what's up. A measure that would require the U.S. Treasury to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which we all know is in play. And at the state level, momentum is building. Florida is exploring plans to form its own strategic Bitcoin reserve as early as first quarter of next year. The Florida Blockchain Business Association has proposed investing 1% of the state pension fund, an estimated $1.8 billion, into Bitcoin. Pennsylvania introduced a strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act in November, which could allocate up to 10% of its general fund into the digital asset. Now Alabama could be on the verge of a similar move, potentially intensifying interstate competition as the game theory continues to secure early and substantial Bitcoin hodlings. Sorrell noted the states would likely face fewer regulatory hurdles in purchasing Bitcoin in the previous years. Facts. Particularly following the U.S. SEC's authorization of exchange-traded funds, ETFs, states can buy into crypto as easily as they can purchase stock through a traditional brokerage account. He also suggests the potential Alabama strategic Bitcoin reserve mirror the federal approach promised by President Trump. Quoting him here, "We can model Alabama's Bitcoin reserve after the federal American strategic Bitcoin reserve that Trump promised to start," he explained. The U.S. government already owns 207,000 Bitcoin acquired through various seizures, worth $20 billion. Those were slated to be sold, but Trump has pledged to keep them and possibly even add more. You got to add more. Despite the enthusiasm, he also advised caution in execution, proposed a 2-year dollar cost average model to mitigate the timing risk, given the volatile nature, particularly after the price recently smashed 100,000, which we just reclaimed at the time of the live. The framework the state should follow would be the dollar cost average our way in over a 2-year period. Bitcoin crossed 100 G's, so buying into the bull market may not be the best timing. A better strategy is monthly purchases over a 2-year period. I think that's a smart approach, to be honest there. And just like Eric Trump at the Bitcoin MENA conference, Sorrell shared an eye-popping prediction, the idea for a Bitcoin reserve, not to flip it, but for a quick profit, emphasizing the importance of the long-term strategy. It is likely Bitcoin will one day reach $1 million per coin. How do you like that? We've been calling for $1 million per coin one day since the inception of the channel. Now we have the President of the United States, his son, his family. We got people at the state level, nation state level. Everyone's calling for $1 million. Heck, now people are calling for 400 million. Stay tuned. We'll get into that a little later. 400 million per biddy. Gentlemen, I used to think I was the bull. Apparently, I'm a turtle. I'm a tortoise. Next story of the day. We're going to discuss India adopting Bitcoin. Then we'll discuss the 3 trillion in gold reserves unmined, which El Salvador is sitting on top of. Then we'll discuss the most bullish prediction from the recent Abu Dhabi event, which is 400 million per biddy. And shout out Chucho BTC, longs and shorts liquidated. Stop doing trading, people. Just hodl thy biddy, and be grateful to hodl thy biddy. Simple. But yeah, appreciate it. Next story, yo. India's Bitcoin treasury era begins with a bold, gold, corporate pioneer. Let's break this baby down. Let's go, India. That's right. Jet King Info Train, a 77-year-old Indian IT training company with a 5 million market cap and 2 million in annual sales, became the first publicly listed Indian firm to adopt Bitcoin as its primary treasury reserve asset. This groundbreaking move was highlighted by Matthew Siegel, head of digital asset research at asset management firm Van Eck, who shared the following. Jet King Info Train, 77-year-old Indian company with a 5 million market cap, 2 million annual sales, has become the first pubco in India to adopt, public company that is, the Bitcoin treasury strategy. The microcap says that Bitcoin will be the primary treasury reserve asset. So we got China, we got India. Who's next? The Indian company joins a growing list of global companies incorporating the BITI into their financial strategies. This decision mirrors moves like firms MicroStrategy and The Block, which view the BITI as a hedge against inflation and currency devaluation. It reflects the rise in global adoption of crypto as alternatives to traditional financial instruments, with Bitcoin's limited supply and deflationary traits offering appeal amid the economic uncertainty. Their info train move could influence other Indian corporations. Yeah, they got the first mover's advantage. Spark the others, kind of like the MicroStrategy did here in the States. Why not? Let's go. Marking a potential shift in the country's corporate approach to emerging tech. This step also positions the company as an early adopter within India's corporate sector, potentially encouraging the broader acceptance of crypto. India's stance on crypto remains unsettled, with regulatory clarity still a work in progress. The government has introduced measures like a 30% tax on crypto gains and a 1% tax deduction at source for crypto transactions. But comprehensive legislation is yet to be enacted. Despite these uncertainties, India remains a global leader in crypto adoption, with millions engaging in digital asset activity. And India is massive, I dare say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume India is amongst one of the biggest populations in the world, maybe next to China, maybe bigger than China. I would assume it's number 1 or 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that is massive. Let's spark the biddy. Light the fuse. The rockets heading to the moon. 220 in play. We hit the gong for that each and every day. But yeah, next story of the day, broskies. Let's discuss this 3 trillion in gold in which El Salvador is sitting on top of. And think of it this way. The entire crypto market cap is like 3.4 trillion. El Salvador may be sitting on 3 trillion worth of gold, according to Bukele. What if they were to trade all that into Bitcoin? Let's discuss this. This is a trending story here today. This is actually quite an interesting topic of conversation. Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele, shout out Bukele, has highlighted the potential of El Salvador's untapped gold reserve, estimating their value to reach over 3 trillion if fully explored. Posting on X last week, Bukele underscored how responsible mining could revolutionize the nation's economy. He envisions the proceeds funding critical projects, including job creation, infrastructure improvements, and overall economic advancement. Bukele has proposed repealing the country's 2017 ban on metallic mining, describing the restriction as a barrier to leveraging the country's vast natural wealth as he broke here. Breaking, El Salvador discovered 3 trillion in unmined gold, Bukele wrote, but what could they possibly do with that? And he's hinting, buy the pity, stack the Bitcoin. The Salvadoran president referenced studies suggesting only 4% of the nation's mining areas have been explored, uncovering an estimated 50 million ounces of gold. So gold is nowhere near as scarce as they lead us to believe, family. It's obvious. The proof is in the pudding. This gold is valued at 131 billion, approximately 380% of El Salvador's GDP. He believes the full exploration could evaluate the reserves value to over 3 trillion, which is 8,800% their GDP. Damn. Quoting them here, we've also found gallium, tantalum, tin, and many other materials needed for the 4th and 5th industrial revolution. He attributed the country's mineral abundance, activity, and rich deposits, while proponents laud the discovery as transformative. Critics warn of potential environmental degradation. Bukele highlighted the potential for sustainable mining to balance the economic benefits with environmental protection, but some question whether El Salvador actually possesses such significant gold reserves. What are your thoughts to that? El Salvador's unique stance as the first country to adopt Bitcoin, hence Bitcoin country, and JV will be there celebrating 1 month from now. I will be kicking it with Max and Stacy at the Max and Stacy Invitational. So I'm looking forward to finally visiting Bitcoin country. It's long overdue. Let me know if any of you are going to be there, family. So yeah, Vice President of Riot Platforms noted El Salvador discovered trillions in gold deposits that, when mined, will massively dilute the above ground supply of gold. Do you hear that, Peter Schiffmeister? This can't happen with Bitcoin because the code is open source. Amen. Bukele echoed the same sentiment, stating we'll dilute that thing like there's no tomorrow. Sorry, gold bugs. You're screwed. Max Kaiser, shout out to the OG, a prominent Bitcoin advocate, proposed monetizing the gold reserves to invest in Bitcoin, aligning with Bukele's vision, suggesting selling convertible preferred shares to fund large-scale Bitcoin purchases, arguing that the crypto's growing dominance over gold makes it a more valuable long-term asset. He shared on X, El Salvador should monetize this $3 trillion in gold by selling a series of 0% convertible prefers a la Sailor and buy as much Bitcoin as possible under 200 Gs. As Bitcoin continues to demonetize gold at a rapid pace, the actual value of the gold is really closer to one-tenth of the current estimates. But still, 300 billion in Bitcoin now is better than wasting asset like gold in the future. Let me know if you agree, disagree. I think that's obviously very bullish for us Bitcoiners, not so bullish for the gold bugs. Gold, yeah, maybe relative scarcity, but they can continue to dig more from the ground as often as they like. They just need to invest more resources into doing so. With Bitcoin, you can invest all the resources in the world into mining more Bitcoin. They're still only going to be minting 450 Bitcoin per day. Next halving, sliced in half. Following halving every 4 years, slice in half, slice in half. It's hard programmed into the protocol. It's immutable. No one can change it. It's impregnable. It's un-F-wittable. It's unconfiscatable. It's unnippable. I just made that term up for the nippinator. Nipsey, the red-nosed nippinator. You already know. Now let's discuss our feature story of the day. The most bullish prediction coming out of the Abu Dhabi Bitcoin conference. Mark Moss predicts one Bitcoin will be worth $400 million per coin. But here's the kicker. By the year 2050. So that may be actually very reasonable because that's 26 years to go. And 4, 8, 12, 60, 20, 20. That's basically 6 more cycles. 6 more halving events. Could you see a $400 million Bitcoin price 6 cycles from now in the year 2050, 26 years out? Holla at your boy and let me know. Now, naturally, he's always been very bullish on Bitcoin. Maybe a month or two ago, more recently, actually it was in September, he made a prediction that Bitcoin could hit 400,000 per coin before the end of this cycle if Trump wins and keeps his promises. Now, here's the silver lining. Trump won, and I'm pretty confident, like 95%, Trump will keep his promises because, I mean, his sons wouldn't be speaking at the event if they weren't going to adopt Bitcoin, stockpile the Bitcoin, make United States a Bitcoin mining hub of the world, and adopt a strategic Bitcoin reserve and all that stuff. So let's break this down, shall we? Mark Moss, host of the Mark Moss Show and partner of the Bitcoin Opportunity Fund, discussed his bullish outlook on the Bitty, predicting the price could reach $1 million by 2030. Why so bearish, Mark? I'm saying 1.1 million next year. Moss laid out his but again, this was before the more recent bullishness, so you got to consider that as well. This was back in September. His reasoning behind the forecast, the math, and the logic that drive the optimism. Moss started by referencing historical growth rate of the Bitty, which he said averaged 150% compounded annual growth rate. He also acknowledged that such exponential growth isn't sustainable forever, Laura, but stated that Bitcoin's trajectory will significantly outperform traditional financial markets like the S&P, and he used this data to calculate 3 scenarios: the bear case, the mid case, and the bull case. Sound familiar, gentlemen? And according to Moss, even the most conservative case predicts that Bitcoin will double the performance of the S&P, which he considers extremely bearish. Moss pointed out that given Bitcoin's high sensitivity to the global liquidity, its price is likely to rise dramatically as liquidity in the global markets continue to increase. And when discussing how Bitcoin performs relative to global liquidity, Moss shared Bitcoin has a 9.5 sensitivity ratio, meaning for every 10% increase in liquidity, Bitcoin rises by 90%. This compares to gold's 1.49 sensitivity ratio and the S&P 500's 1.0. Moss explained that this high sensitivity makes Bitcoin an incredibly responsive asset during periods of monetary expansion like the one he anticipates in the future. And by projecting global debt and deficit levels from sources like the Congressional Budget Office, Moss arrived at the conclusion Bitcoin price could easily surpass Saylor's target of 10 to 13 million by 2045. And I remind you, he just made the bold prediction at the conference just yesterday, predicting Bitcoin to now be worth 400 million per coin by 2050. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Now, when asked for a more near-term prediction, he said he expects Bitcoin to trade between 100,000 and 150 by the end of 2024, right in alignment with JV, or early 2025. Moss added that his forecast depended heavily on the outcome of the 2024 U.S. election, and we already know Trump won the election, so hence it's even more bullish. He says Bitcoin can skyrocket to 400 Gs before the end of the cycle. I think that's a given. My mid-scenario or base case is 420. On the other hand, a victory by Kamala, which we know didn't happen, would obviously not give us as high expectations as far as the bullishness in the markets. Moss tied his prediction not just to Bitcoin, but the broader societal and economic conditions, emphasizing Bitcoin represents freedom of choice and wealth storage, a concept he believes is fundamentally tied to personal liberty. Amen. He also warned that many U.S. citizens are unaware that their ownership of assets like cash, stocks, and homes is conditional under a debt-based monetary system. He explained that Bitcoin is the latest asset where individuals can claim true ownership, unlike cash in the bank or stocks held by brokers. Hence why they're called brokers. They'll leave you broke if you listen to them, which legally belong to intermediaries. And according to Moss, Bitcoin's significance extends beyond just being a financial asset. It is a way for individuals to store value outside of traditional centralized financial systems. He also addressed the growing divide of the U.S. political landscape, framing the 2024 election as a choice between freedom and centralized control. Thank God for the Trump pump. He remarked that while Bitcoin may not be on the ballot, the broader issue is whether individuals can choose how they store their wealth. He argued that Trump presidency would favor individual freedom in financial matters, whereas a Harris-led administration might impose more control over the private wealth, just as we have witnessed with her as the vice president with the Biden administration over the past 4 years. So what are your thoughts, family? 400 million per biddy by the year 2050, yay or nay? Holla at your boy, and welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream. We're going to convert today's podcast into a pump watch because you guys deserve it. I mean, we're up almost 5 Gs on the day. That's a demigod candle. We're halfway for a god candle on the daily. I like those. I like that. So as you can see here, this is the monthly. We're going to zoom her in as we continue to pump. We're currently sitting at 100,600. Please share this stream. Let people know we're going to keep the pump watch going. Instead of ending the show, we're going to keep it going. The show goes on. How do you like those apples? And we do have a target in play on the 1 minute chart, as you can see on your screen. That target is 101. 101 in play. 250, I'll be, don't say that, Miller. We have the secret key to live forever young. It's called stacking thy biddy, because you can live a stress-free life. Forget the fiat woes. All the woes created by the fiat underworld. Could you imagine? I could imagine anything. The mind is powerful. Whatever you can imagine and hold on to and emotionalize, you can manifest. It's called Bitcoin alchemy. Can I get a gong strike for that? Raising consciousness, one gong strike at a time.